we get so wrapped up in our lives that we just go for convenience and we go for what the media is telling us to do, or we just look for what everyone else is doing. We just go along with those things. So stop, be conscious, and listen. And then you'll be led to education and finding the better things to be able to do through all these works together to help yourself and your family.
Michigan Family Wellness, Episode 9.
Here at Michigan Family Wellness, we believe chiropractic care and nutritional-based therapies are a foundational part of a healthy family lifestyle. No matter where you're at in the mitten, having a family is such an exciting time of life. So instead of feeling overwhelmed by stress, fatigue, and responsibilities with the kids, we invite you to become part of this empowering community to create happy, healthy families. By providing engaging interviews and practical applications, Dr. Wollner cultivates family health by equipping our listeners with the tools they need to elevate wellness in their own family. Dr. Wollner passionately serves the Michigan community at his chiropractic and nutrition-based practice, where he specializes in pregnancy, pediatrics, and family wellness care. And now, here's your host, Dr. Kyle Wollner.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Michigan Family Wellness. Today is going to be an awesome episode. We have my good friend, Derek Weber, on the show today. Derek strives to provide healthcare practitioners with the best information possible about whole food nutrition and herbal therapies. He educates healthcare professionals so that they may provide you, the patient, with the best nutritional care possible. So again, I talk about this in the episode, but as a chiropractor, as a doctor, I only work with the highest quality nutritional supplements and physical medicine. So you can't find these things on Amazon. You can't walk into a GNC and find the physical medicine that we're using, because you have to have a doctor's level license to distribute these supplements. And so what Derek does is Derek acts as a liaison, or he helps connect the doctors in the field with the formulators on the other side of the equation. So we've had a great relationship together. He's been in the industry for much longer than I have. I can remember hanging out with him way before I was even in this industry. So it's such an honor to have him on the show. I want to remind everyone about all of our upcoming events. Let's see, we have a guided meditation coming up really soon with my good friend Lisa over at Summit on the Park. And then really, guys, if you have any concerns about neurodegenerative diseases, traumatic brain injury, concussion, or even back to leaky gut, I really encourage you to come out on Saturday, June 11th for the Leaky Brain Talk. We need our brains to stay sharp as we age, and there are so many targeted therapies that we can do to reverse brain-related decline. So I want to avail you to that. Also, as I mentioned before, chiropractic care for pregnancy and pediatrics, July 16th. The Female Hormone Symphony, August 6th, and Natural Birth Techniques coming up August 20th. So stay tuned for more events, and again, encourage yourself and your loved ones to come out to Summit on the Park and join us for those Saturday morning lectures. So without any further delay, here is Derek. Welcome to the podcast, Derek.
Thanks, Kyle. Happy to be here.
This is so awesome. I can remember going to your office, years ago, way back, even before I was a chiropractor, and, listening to you educating the community. And now here you are educating the MFW community on the podcast. Again, I just thank you so much for being here.
Well, Kyle, my pleasure. And I, do remember those days when you were so inquisitive and wanting to learn more about your own health and things that you could do for yourself and your family. That was all part of your journey that led you to where you're at today.
So Derek, I've just told our listeners a little bit about you as the professional. Can you tell us a little bit more about what the Weber household looks like? What does family look like for you?
Sure, Kyle. We've had an interesting journey. I would say that we've combined East Coast and West Coast. My wife was born on the East Coast. She was raised here in the Midwest, and I'm a West Coast kid, having been a Southern California kid who moved to Seattle for most of my school years. But Katie and I met, I should say, at that time, my future wife in Phoenix while I was just starting my career in the nutritional supplement industry. And Katie, having graduated high school from East Lansing and still having family in the state, we thought, that would be just a great place to be able to start our family. And I asked my company for any open positions that could happen back in Michigan at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And, we got married, and we were literally just back from our honeymoon, driving the U-Haul truck to our new apartment when I got a call offering me a position in Michigan. So we never even fully unpacked. 2 months later, we moved to Michigan, and what a whirlwind. Katie and I, we had Eva, our daughter, about a year and a half later.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe you've heard the saying that once you have kids, that the days are long, but the years are short.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Well, that certainly was the case for us. 15 years just blew by, and I poured myself into the whole embracing the Midwest, and it's been a great experience. Having family here, we get to travel around the state and around the area, and it's been a real pleasure starting a family and having these formative years of our family right here in Michigan.
That's awesome, Derek. So one of the things we love to say here on the podcast is that our listeners are smitten with the mitten. I know you talked about the Midwest. Do you have a favorite place in Michigan, whether it be a lighthouse, a trail, a beach, and maybe tell us why?
Well, how do you pick only one?
Right, exactly.
It's not fair. There's too many great places. One place that we really enjoy going to and visiting is Traverse City. It's, the people, places, things going on there. There's great food around there. One of my, if you'd say a favorite lighthouse, it's right up from there, the Leelanau Peninsula, right on the tip. Beautiful spot. And, great area around there. But then there's so many other good spots. When thinking about it, there's, we've been up to the UP now, and it's just beautiful up there. Another great lighthouse, the Whitefish Point. You've ever been up there, but
okay. Yeah.
You can explore, find out all about the Great Lakes, the shipwrecks, the famous places there, and I start wanting to start singing the Gordon Lightfoot song. It's a pretty cool spot. So I really, to narrow it down to one spot is so hard. And then to even talk about all the great beaches and other places to go, fun little towns to explore. So many good places. We've actually, last couple summers, been able to visit some friends who are in Pentwater, and that's such a neat little town. It's a small town, but it's got a great beach. It seems like just a little gem. And you go there, and there's some ways it even reminds me of growing up on the Pacific Ocean, going to beaches there. It's a little different, but still, it's a pretty amazing place.
Yeah, you mentioned Traverse City. All the locals usually laugh at me and make fun of me because they call me the Fudgies because I come for the fudge and all of the local things. So definitely with you there.
Yeah.
Great. So Derek, I mentioned in the introduction that you are a consulting rep for Physica. Can you tell us more about what Physica is and why should a family, work with a doc who uses Physica supplements?
Great question. Physica was born out of a need, really a necessity, to address health concerns here in the 21st century. We have been going through, I'll say, accelerated changes in the last 100 years with the way not only our food is consumed, but also the way our medicine is consumed. And where we have altered our food supply, we have ended up to a place now where not only have we altered our own DNA, but we've altered our food's DNA, that when we look at things from a biologic standpoint, or the botany of plants, there has certainly reached a point of no return, where now we've created these seed banks where we're trying to hang on to the heritage seeds, because we have literally let the genie out of the bag, and we have genetic manipulation going on now that's not only destroying the current foods, but also getting into some of the other crops and damaging the foods and even our own processes, so that quite often we have trouble even working with the plants to try to repair the body.
Right.
Then that's where Physica steps in, and they look at it from the opposite end, and we address things on an energetic level. We do know that everything is ultimately energy, and if we have some of the best clinicians that yourself you've worked with and you've seen, if you work with patients on an energetic level, you need to make sure your products are energetically balanced correctly. And Dr. Rob Cass, the founder of Physica, has just done a phenomenal job of ensuring that these products, from the beginnings to the point where he hands them off to you, the practitioner, has taken the utmost care and quality in making sure that what he has to begin with isn't going to damage, but actually even more than that, it gives you the tools to be able to correct patients' health outcomes so that you have an impact.
You're absolutely right, Derek. And I think the results that I get with patients really speak for themselves, too. Just being frustrated with some other, remedies or supplements that have been used for a long time, and then to use new tools you mentioned all the new health challenges that we have. It's been really refreshing to work with these kinds of tools. Like I said, new tools in the tool belt that really allow, someone like myself and all of the other practitioners out there to equip our patients with the things that they need to really take control of their health and get over these health barriers. Now, real quick, are the ingredients, are these organic? Are these GMO-free, gluten, dairy-free? Can you talk more about that for us?
Sure. Now, a lot of these ingredients, we source the best places available, which ends up being literally around the globe.
Okay.
We are sourcing the glandular material from New Zealand. New Zealand is fantastic in that they've never allowed in the antibiotic and the GMO crops for these animals to even get tainted. So they've done a beautiful job there in that island. So it's a lot of safety. Now, calling that organic, range-free, it's just inherent with it coming from New Zealand. So that's a wonderful situation. We, of course, source organic wherever possible. A lot of times, though, we're looking at wildcrafting. And wildcrafting, while it doesn't get the official stamp of being organic, certainly is organic when you consider how you have literally gatherers going out into the wild and finding whatever mushroom or herb or root that we're looking for. So it's a wide range, and to try to label products all across the board as such is a bit difficult. But where they stand and what we stand for is bringing in the best that we can of nature and putting it in and taking care of it in a good harmonious way so that the product we deliver to you are the best.
Wow, yeah. And, I'm just loving everything you're saying. Those are such great points, especially, from just being able to help people as best as you can, and also being mindful of their resources too, using less for the best benefit. One of the things I try to do, or one question that often gets asked to me is, if I were to put myself in the shoes of the consumer, or in the shoes of the patient, and I'm listening to this podcast and I'm listening to Derek here talk about, the amazing options that are available to people, how do I actually get my hands on these supplements, on these remedies?
Well, we've done a great job of positioning these products to be only sold through healthcare professionals.
So you're saying I can't buy these off Amazon or GNC or anything like that?
That's correct. They're not available online.
Okay.
And I'll explain real quick, Dr. Walnut, is that we don't believe these products should be self-diagnosed. We don't think you should be diagnosed by a hourly clerk at a retail store who doesn't have the kind of training that you have gained by going to a college or university and being a degreed healthcare professional. That's so important to understanding not only the products themselves, but also understand each individual and to be able to treat them accordingly.
Gotcha. So it's almost the same concept. I mean, conceptually, as you wouldn't put yourself on any antibiotic. You would go to your medical doctor and get whatever they tell you to use. You use that one. It's
actually the exact same concept.
Yeah. Great. So, Derek, you have such a passion for what you do. You've been in the industry for so long. Can you tell us a little bit more of your why? Why do you serve the community in this way? And, what has really been your motivation over all these years?
To me, there is a uniqueness about what we get to do. We get to, and I say we, I should back that up. I should say me. I have the chance to assist you as a healthcare professional and the thousands of others across the country being able to educate those clinicians to then educate patients to help others. The kind of impact that has and the ripple effect, if you will, is so important to me because it's really powerful to take old information, stuff we know has been true for so long, and then combine it with new research, understanding plants and energy and everything going on in the environment, and be able to share that with clinicians who can make a difference in someone's life today is so uplifting and rewarding. And to hear the success stories and even meet people firsthand that have had life-changing moments because of your work, it's just it makes this go beyond work, and it doesn't become work anymore, but becomes your life and what you able to give back to the environment. So it's really, really fantastic.
Yeah, and again, I just applaud, your work and your efforts. I mean, again, putting myself in the shoes of a consumer or in the shoes of the patient, if I know that my doctor or my chiropractor is, working with the people that actually have their hands, on the remedies, on the supplements, that doctor is in communication back and forth between, with the manufacturing and all of that, I take great confidence, in that as a patient. That makes me feel really comfortable. So, like you said, to be able to provide that to practitioners and to doctors is a big deal, and I think that goes a long way.
It does. In knowing that we work with international experts in different fields and are up to date on research and are always looking for the best things possible to be able to work with patients on is really, it just adds to the whole experience and makes everyone better off.
Amazing. Well, Derek, you're really dropping the value here. Do you have any inspirational quotes or words of wisdom, maybe an affirmation that motivates you, or perhaps do you have any resources that people should be listening to or reading to improve their family wellness?
Sure. There's a favorite quote of mine that actually works for me is a daily inspirational message. And that is, don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds you plant. Of course, that's from the famous Scottish author Robert Louis Stevenson. And to me, it speaks volumes to what we do.
Right.
Because in not only, and obviously in my business life, it's got the reference to seeds and plants. I like that. But beyond that, on the personal level, there's some of those simple concepts that I try to bring into my everyday life that, it's what I'm planting in myself, both. And now I should back up. And it isn't just when I want to start thinking about food, right? It's in our supplements and that sort of thing. But I like to look at things in a wider aspect of that. I always consider there being needed to look at mind, body, and spirit. So I need to then work on those in those three areas. And the way I work on all those is they actually each have three things I work on in each area. They all come together to be able to function at my best. And so if I am working to eat well, supplement well, and rest well, for all three things, mind, body, and spirit, I can be the best that I can be for others. And that then can help other people do their best. And I should explain too, when I say supplementing, it isn't just about supplementing our diet with nutrition,
right.
But I literally look at it as supplementing our lives in all three areas, mind, body, and spirit, with different activities every day. So that I'm nurturing my mind, I nurture my body, I nurture my spirit in supplemental ways every day. And it makes that greater impact that we have, so that we can, like I said, be planting seeds so that others can grow and be better off. It's not what we gain at the end of the day by our successes. It's really how we can help others.
And I think one thing that's huge too is, not only am I loving everything that you're saying, but you actually practice what you preach. So not only are you telling people and educating, the practitioner community about all these opportunities and supplements and remedies and all that, but you actually use them yourself, and you actually, like I said, practice what you preach. We
do. And I'm not going to stand here and say that I'm perfect and got it all figured out. But what I found works really well is taking some of those simple concepts of bad foods in are going to equal bad feelings later. So work at putting good foods in. Those lead to good sustained feelings, and then having good sleep habits. Those, you're going to feel better the next day with those things. I take time every day to pray and to read and feed my spirit, and that helps me feel better.
That's awesome. Yeah.
There's going to be times where convenience wins, and you're stopping it somewhere that you don't normally eat, and we all have those moments where
Right, right.
it ultimately comes down to some of our lifestyle decisions sometimes, whether it's you just have to do that, and don't beat yourself up over it, but just decide that, hey, that's not a habit, and I'm going to keep at doing things as best as I can. And I tell a lot of people, try to start at maybe the 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
80% of the time, do the best you can in all these areas. And then just keep working to improve it, to 85-15, 90-10, whatever you can. And you'll just find that you'll be so much better off. Your family will be better off. It's really a really helpful way to live your life.
Well, Derek, I know we've been getting kind of philosophical here, but I would be remiss if I didn't circle back and ask you about a really important point here. So back to kind of the, many different things we see in the office in terms of different health conditions. What I see a lot of in my office are parents and many households are concerned about flu shots and vaccines and electromagnetic fields, and not only for themselves as adults, but also for their kids as well. So my question for you, Derek, is, does Physica have anything to offer these families with these kinds of concerns?
They sure do, Kyle. It's such an important thing for us to address right now, too. When we think at what we have done to our environment, both externally and internally, that there are times where we need to protect ourselves from these things. Now, obviously, some things we can avoid, some things we can't. And the unique thing that Physica has been able to capture with their homeopathic remedies it is our products like vaccine tox that we can use to help protect us, really, from further damage. So, I've been able to recommend that to people in the military who are ready to be shipped out overseas, and they're going to get, about to be jabbed with half dozen, sometimes even more, different inoculations.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's the law; they have to. Or there's, emergency room nurses and other people in the healthcare field that simply have to have these shots. Well, there are things you can do to protect yourselves, and that's what we encourage people to do. And a lot of things, there are lifestyle things to think about. And there's other things you can do when you opt into taking the vaccinations. And the first thing you have to do is education. Education is so paramount to do. So we're well aware of that.
No, that's fantastic. Those are all really great points. And just to get a little vulnerable and real with listeners here, my wife just got a new job with Beaumont, and she's not even in the hospital setting. She's a social worker, and so she's not necessarily around sick people all the time. But if you work for Beaumont, you have to get a flu shot. And so, exactly to your point, I started her on the homeopathics, and, that included vaccine tox as well. And I've been really pleased. She's felt great. It's been over a week now, and she's had, no symptoms and no adverse reactions, from her flu shot. And I'm just overjoyed, as a husband, obviously, but, also as a clinician, I'm just really happy that that all went well. Now, the technician kind of stuck her pretty hard in the arm, but other than that, she's been doing pretty well.
Well, I'm glad to hear that the week has transpired without any big adverse reactions.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic.
So, Derek, getting around to the end of the show here, what I like to ask people are for their practical applications for how MFW listeners can foster and cultivate wellness in their family. Do you have like a top 3 or just the main things that the Weber household does, to really focus on wellness?
I'll head back to those points I made before, and the idea to just raise your consciousness, which obviously your listeners are doing right now. But being conscious of how you treat your mind, body, and spirit through eating, supplement, and resting is the first and foremost thing that you can do. Just listen. We get so wrapped up in our lives that we just go for convenience, and we go for what the media is telling us to do, or we just look for what everyone else is doing. We just go along with those things. So stop, be conscious, and listen. And then you'll be led to education and finding the better things to be able to do through all these works together to help yourself and your family. Live healthier lives, live fuller lives, live life to its fullest potential, where, as we talk about, living your life to its fullest, where you're dying peacefully, pain-free, surrounded by your loved ones.
Awesome. No, I really think our listeners are going to love that value and love those practical applications. So, again, as we kind of bring things to a close here, let's say that, I'm someone listening to this podcast for the first time and, I want to start working, with these remedies, with these supplements. Can you tell someone what they might do? Obviously in Michigan, I'm biased,
Sure.
shamefully plug myself, to work with myself to get these remedies and supplements in your hands. However, this is a podcast and this does have global reach. So is there an online listing of practitioners that Physica has, or how can people actually get in touch with a Physica practitioner?
Sure. Well, before I plug my website, Dr. Walter, let me say that the clinic you're at, Innovative Health Solutions, is bar none one of the top clinics in the country, if not the world, for receiving alternative health care. You couldn't have landed in a better place. It is just a phenomenal place.
Completely agree. That's why I'm there.
Plymouth, right? So my website, while it's almost finished, it is up and partially functioning. It's physicaconsulting.com. That's PHYSICA consulting.com. And of course, Physica Energetics can be reached right at physicaenergetics.com. Energetics is ENERGETICS.com. And there also is a physician referral that you can request through that website. But first, coming to my site, Physica Consulting, the work that we do is trying to connect the clinicians with other educational mentor clinicians, I should say, across the country and even across the world.
Yeah, so that global component too. So even, if I have a friend or I'm listening, in Australia or New Zealand, we talked about, I can still find someone that I can work with, to actually start using these, right?
I was just on a Skype call 2 days ago with someone in Australia, a clinician down there, who are really excited to be able to work with us. Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, Derek, thanks so much. And for all of our listeners, all of those links, all of that information that Derek just talked about will be linked in the show notes for this episode and at MichiganFamilyWellness.com. And also a new feature, if you're listening on your iPhone and you have the player pulled up on your screen, if you just tap the album art, it should flip up the show notes and all of the links will be right there. It's really easy, so I recommend using that as well. Derek, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Do you have any last words of encouragement for our listeners?
Don't beat yourself up. Keep moving forward. It can be done. It's the little steps that make a difference. And you don't have to try to do it all at once. Just keep doing what you can each and every day. Me personally, I use my faith to anchor this, to make this something that I can be able to accomplish each and every day.
Amazing. Well, there you have it, everyone. Derek Weber. Derek, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks, Dr. Wallner. Have a great day.
And as I love to say here at Michigan Family Wellness, we can do far more together than we could ever do apart. Coming to you from beautiful Southeast Michigan, I'm your host, Dr. Wallner, and this is Michigan Family Wellness.
Now that you've been equipped with the latest in family wellness solutions, we want to encourage you to apply these strategies right away. But the thing is, there's still so much to learn. Connect with Dr. Wallner's Chiropractic and Nutrition Office by going to MichiganFamilyWellness.com and click the newsletter sign-up button to join the informative and supportive community of chiropractic wellness. You will also receive as a gift from Dr. Wallner a copy of Michigan Family Wellness Solutions, an invaluable resource containing dynamic tools to elevate family health and vitality. Michigan Family Wellness wants to thank you for being part of today's podcast. Please subscribe to our podcast on iTunes and give us a 5-star rating and review.